Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to NAB 2013, and welcome to the Autodesk booth. I'm really excited to have this next presentation and introduce it because it is actually highlighting the work of one of my favorite flame artists in the world, Mr. Kieran Walsh from Carbon VFX in New York City. And I think in the next hour you'll see an incredible tour of the diversity of work that Kieran produces using Flame Premium. And what we're going to see is something that will reinforce our message that with Flame Premium, you never need to say no to your customer. And in fact, I'm a little bit put off because Kieran is in the audience. I can see you, Kieran. I can see you. There he is. So everything you're going to see, all the imagery that you're going to see was actually produced by that guy. So with that, I want to hand it over to Will Harris, who's going to be able to drive the Flame Premium and take us through, I think, about 6 examples we're going to see tonight, right?
Yeah, 6 examples across different disciplines, Bill. We're going to start with what we call creative design, or kind of working with layers. We're going to look into working with the 3D camera.
Right.
We'll take a look at a signature kind of car commercial for BMW, as well as some broadcast design work in 2D and 3D kind of environments, and finish up with some kind of epic commercial work at the end there. Right,
for a campaign for Soul headphones. So
that's right.
It's going to be quite a ride. Put on your seatbelts and let's get started.
Yeah, I'm actually going to start by playing you back this piece for Citibank, which is very much about image treatment, or affecting the image in this historical kind of
Citi turns 200 this year. So why exactly should that be of any interest to you? Well, in that time, there have been some good days and some difficult ones. But through it all, we've persevered, supporting some of the biggest ideas in modern history, like the transatlantic cable that connected continents, and the Panama Canal that made our world a smaller place. We supported the Marshall Plan that helped Europe regain its strength, and pioneered the ATM so you can get cash when you want it. It's been our privilege to back ideas like these and the leaders behind them. So why should our anniversary matter to you? Because for 200 years, we've been helping people and their ideas move from ambition to achievement. And the next great idea could be yours.
So obviously a great spot, a national spot. The interesting thing here, I think it's funny when sitting with Kieran and looking through this, was a lot of this historical footage didn't even exist. There were no cameras there in 1866 when
that was a little before the Deadliest Catch.
Right, so the transatlantic cable, they didn't actually capture that, so Kieran had to manufacture a lot of these shots. In fact, this one, I think it was in Eastern Europe somewhere, where they went on set to actually produce the shot. These weren't real cobblestones, these were actually pieces of rubber that they put on the ground there.
Don't tell them. Don't give away the magic.
Giving away the magic. But anyway, it's a good place to start to talk about some of the image treatment that can be done to footage to kind of create something that looks more, film-like, some archival type footage.
Exactly. I'm working here in the kind of the classic Flame tools or desktop view here, but I'm going to throw a shot into the batch environment. Notice how I can just switch in between here. Between tools, batch, timeline. This is the anniversary edition. This is the kind of the new look and feel Flame. And we're going to use a bunch of things, but I want to mention that we have a file-based conform tool as well as our media hub for media I/O here. But let's get right into the meat of it. Let's take a look at this shot, and I'd like to just use a little procedural compositing here to do a few things to it. So let's start with a 2D transform. This is a tool that we can use for resizing, scaling, rotation, but I'm actually going to use it for camera shake. We'll actually introduce a bit of kind of vertical wobble noise here, and you can see that I can quickly and fluidly do this kind of stuff. I like to use motion blurring with what we call lock transform, which gives us the effect of motion blur without actually moving the framing so much. And then we'll throw in something like damage, our synthetic artifact creation tool, one of the tools here. Let's start with a preset for like a sort of a 60s interpositive film. And whilst I don't want the color of that, I want to just sort of see that as an effect over my footage.
Notice Will can just hit play and play back these effects in real time, see how they're going to preview how they're going to work.
That's right. Whether I want lots more scratches, perhaps, or if I want hairs over my image, I can have all that stuff right here if I want. Or maybe I want to nuance this a little bit with different types of hair, set some sort of discontinuity in my scratches here to build this kind of a look. So I think I went a little too far with that, but we'll drop that back a little bit. This is affecting the image quite dramatically, as you can probably see. Let's just finish this off with this quick sort of introduction here with a glow. So we'll take the image, we'll just take a sampling of it here. We can adjust how our glow affects the image, but now we're starting to get into more a few little technical details, like being able to adjust chromatic aberration, displace the channels for that slightly more aged adjusted film look in combination with a glow there. And you can really get the idea that if I show you like a before and after here, going back to the beginning there, how we're still moving quickly here on the Flame Premium architecture. We're able to do these effects, pretty quickly as we go along without missing a bump, really.
Right. So obviously, a lot of great image processing tools, treatment tools, a lot of almost built-in plugins, if you will, that give you a lot of feedback when you're trying to, do something creative with your footage.
Yeah, next I'd just like to jump us into working in 3D. And what I mean by that is in a camera scene environment where we can start moving a camera around objects, as opposed to that sort of 2D image treatment we just
2D
saw.
is one thing, but once you have a camera, 3D environment, you can import 3D geometry. This opens a lot more opportunities for you.
That's right. I actually have some already treated images here. This is for a New York Times piece where we're going to sort of fly through these layers in space. I want to point out that some of them are quite large images.
4K plate.
Various sort of mishmash of stuff. And we're going to come to that in a second, but I want to show you how it might start with a logo or a shape to be able to build mats. And this is an interesting method that these guys used. This is the guys at Carbon VFX, so thank you again. By just bringing in a basic logo here, you might be able to get a hold of some kind of logo. This is an FBX logo of the New York Times print logo, right? So I could take this, introduce it into my scene, and I want to just show you that there's a lot of flexibility that you have. If you start moving around, you can start to understand that this is actually a 3D element that can be extruded. We could also drop lights into our scene here to be able to really sort of just play with the way that looks. We can work with this as an asset for all kinds of things, improving the quality here with hardware anti-aliasing. Use it as big or small as you like. That's not quite what they did. What they did is they just took the kind of the 2D cutout and they produced a bunch of sort of mats at different scales to provide different punch-throughs or different cutouts of flying images. So let me show you what I mean.
Right, so import the 3D geometry, but in this case, he's using it to create mats to reveal the different images that were treated.
So for example, here we've just got this one flying through, but we actually use the multiple different outputs of action here. So this is what we call the action deliverables, if you like, where you can take different sizes of the same graphic here. And if I just sort of hit play on this again, you can see how this would allow you to get sequenced animation or sequenced mats coming out of your action. We'll use those in combination with this kind of fly-through of the scene. So if I just scrub this, you can see this is flying through these images here. If we look
see our camera in the top view.
Yeah, and if we look through here, you can see how that's the effect that you get of just the plates. So by connecting in one of these mats, we'll use this and we'll actually just invert it. So if we want a kind of a look-through type effect here, you can see how this can quickly get us to this kind of fly-through whilst maintaining a high level of interactivity to be able to start moving the camera as well if we want. Just a quick look at kind of almost a finished piece here. You can see even with all these different layers of 3K and 4K, you can still be flying through your scene here and be able to still make changes. You can see that we're in a completely 3D environment in here.
Right, so again, creative design, starting with just some images, using some 3D text, and just sort of letting your imagination go wild. So let's take a look at some of the results that Kieran made.
This is the open and the close for the New York Times webpage. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And I live in New York. We see this every weekend. So
Familiar.
thanks,
huh?
Kieran, for that.
That's
All
cool.
right. So creative design. That's obviously a powerful part of the system because you get that feedback. You have the performance, that real-time interactivity, and the 2D and 3D tools, and of course all that image processing stuff.